3 behaviors that make you look dangerous. So many people misunderstand what danger truly is. They confuse it with loud voices, clenched fists, or explosive outbursts of emotion. They believe danger is in the storm, in the noise, in the man who tries to show off his power. But those of us who have walked the harder, quieter path, we know better. Real danger doesn't announce itself. Real danger is the man who has survived the storm, walked through fire, and says nothing. There are 3 behaviors that set such a man apart instantly, not because he is reckless or aggressive, but because he becomes something far more powerful, mystery wrapped in iron discipline. Behavior 1. The ability to remain calm when everyone else expects you to break. Think about it. Most men lose themselves in moments of chaos. They shout, they panic, they lash out. But the man who stays silent, who doesn't react when provoked, is the one who unsettles everyone. Not because he's weak, but because he's watching. He's calculating. He's already fought the battle in his own mind long before the world ever challenged him. Marcus Aurelius, emperor, warrior, philosopher, once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." That is the essence of it. A dangerous man doesn't let chaos take root in his mind. He studies it, he holds it in his grip, and then, calmly, he decides his next move. People expect outrage. They expect to see anger, fear, or a nervous breakdown. But when you don't give them what they expect, when your eyes stay clear and your voice remains steady, you disrupt their entire sense of control. They feel it instantly. They realize you cannot be shaken by threats, seduced by temptation, or chained by approval. You have already looked fear in the eye, and you didn't blink. And that, in itself, is dangerous. Because a man who controls his emotions cannot be manipulated, and a man who cannot be manipulated cannot be owned. Behavior 2. The power to walk away without explanation. This world feeds on desperation to belong, to be noticed, to be wanted. Most men cling to it. They beg for validation, terrified of being left behind. But the man who has the strength to walk away, the man who can leave without a single word, without defending himself, without trying to convince others of his worth, he is feared, even by those who don't understand why. Not out of spite, not out of arrogance, and certainly not out of pride. A dangerous man walks away for one reason only, because his peace is more valuable than his presence. Seneca once taught, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." That power is not just in action, but also in restraint. And sometimes, the highest form of restraint is the decision to leave without anger, without theatrics, without hesitation. You don't need to argue. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't even need to speak. Your silence carries more weight than 1,000 words. That silence unsettles people because they realize it comes from strength, not from weakness. This strength isn't given, it's trained. We've built it through solitude. We've embraced the burn of isolation until it no longer had the power to wound us. We've learned to sit in stillness while others begged for noise. And so, when the moment comes to walk away from drama, disrespect, or distraction, we do it without fear. It isn't that we don't feel the sting of loss. We feel it, but we no longer fear it. That is why it becomes powerful. Because once a man loses his fear of pain, no one can use guilt, begging, or manipulation to control him. He doesn't slam the door. He doesn't leave in rage. He simply disappears. And his absence, strangely enough, echoes louder than his presence ever did. Behavior 3. Unapologetic purpose. Without the need for attention, there is something deeply unsettling about a man who moves with purpose, not for applause, not for recognition, not for noise, but simply because his life demands it. He rises, he works, he executes, and when the day is done, he disappears again into silence. No announcement, no need for validation, just pure, unshakable direction. As Cleanthus once said, "Lead me, O Zeus, and thou, O Destiny. I follow without hesitation." That is the spirit of the man who embraces destiny without complaint. who follows his purpose without ever asking permission. To live this way is to live dangerously. Why? Because a man who builds in silence cannot be predicted. He sharpens himself in private. He suffers when no one is watching. He strengthens himself while the world sleeps. And by the time anyone notices him, it's already too late. His strength is undeniable, and his foundation is unshakable. We've all seen the difference. The man who only moves when eyes are on him is a performer, and the performer dies the moment the spotlight fades. But the man who doesn't care who's watching, he is real, and real is rare. Real is unsettling. Real doesn't ask for permission to exist, to act, to lead. When you move through life with quiet purpose, guided by an internal compass, not by applause, not by opinion, not by fleeting trends, you become untouchable. Because the man, with nothing to prove, has already won. And remember this: these behaviors calm under pressure, detachment from validation, and silent, unapologetic purpose, not weapons you casually pick up. They are forged in fire. They are born from solitude. They are carved into you by discipline, by choosing stillness when chaos calls, and mastery when impulse tempts. This isn't learned in books, it's learned in battle. By bleeding when no one watches, by holding the line when your own mind screams for retreat, by watching your ego die and refusing to bring it back to life.